Well, welcome back, and thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Today we're going to be looking at the ranges of the instruments. We're going to be looking at good registers to write in within those ranges. And we're also going to be looking at the transpositions of the various instruments. Uh, Three things that you really need to know. Um, and I think the best place to start here is just showing you the various ranges of the various sections. Again, we're talking about the big band here. So the trombone section, bass trombone is low B flat. Tenor trombone, lead, the B flat below, third space C. Now I understand and know guys that play much higher than this B flat. I know some guys that can play that B flat, which is high B flat for a trumpet. Okay. The workable range for me is here, B flat to B flat. That's where I'm going to get my best sound out of the trombones. The saxophone section, the lowest note on the baritone is this E flat, which is the E flat below low C. For alto saxophone, I don't like to take him much higher than F or F sharp above third space C. Trumpets. The lowest note on the trumpet is this E. That's the E below middle C. Trumpet players, they vary, but they will play from high C up to double C, double high C. I usually don't like to write my trumpet players much over E or F. And again, what I'm giving you here is my preferences, my opinions. A good orchestration book will give you more information on this. And as you get more involved with writing, you will make your own determinations as to what is a good workable register. My thoughts on workable register is where can I get the most dynamics out of my sections? Where is their intonation going to be the best? And if I'm writing a particularly fast passage, where is it going to lay the best? Where is it going to be able to be performed the best? So let's look at this again. For the trombone section, I keep them between the B flat below low C and the B flat below third space C. This 2-octave area is where I keep my trombones. That's where they're going to sound the best, that's where they're going to blend the best, that's where their intonation is going to be the best, and where I can write the most dynamics for them. The saxophones I'm going to keep pretty much, with the exception of the baritone. The baritone I'll take him down to his low E flat, but he's kind of a different animal. But for the saxophone section, I don't like to take my altos, as I said, much above this F. And you really don't, I don't want to take a tenor much lower than that E. So I want to keep them in this 2-octave range. That's where I'm going to write for them. That's where I'm going to get the most dynamics out of them. That's where it's going to be the easiest for them to play a rapid passage. And it's where the intonation is the best, in my opinion. Trumpets, even though they have this low E, these notes are not particularly easy to play on the horn, and they don't sound particularly good. The intonation is not great. So I usually don't take my trumpets much lower than this A440. Below middle C. And I don't like to take, like I say, I don't like to, for most passages, I don't want to take them above a G. I'm going to get my most dynamics out of them. hear. I'm going to get the best intonation out of them there. And the quick passages are going to be the easiest to perform in this register. Now, obviously, if you're doing a shout course or whatever, and you want the loud, ponderous, powerful sound, then you take your trumpets higher than that. You take them up to high C. You take them up to E. That's fine if you want loud. Don't write them up there if you want soft. That's not going to work. So this is what I have always been taught is a workable register. It's not the entire range of the horn, but it's a good register to write in so that your performers can play it well. And if you have a question, if you've written a passage and you really don't know that whether or not it's going to be easy to play or it's going to be good for the instrument, take it to somebody that plays the instrument. Ask them. They'll let you know whether it's good or bad. And in more cases than not, they will tell you another way to do it that'll make it better. So don't hesitate to ask the pros or someone is a college level player or whatever. Don't hesitate to ask. They'll give you good information. As we go into this, there are two questions that you should ask yourself before you start writing the chart. The first question is, who am I writing for? Am I writing for a pro, a professional band? Am I writing for a college band, or a high school band, or a middle school band? You have to bear these things in mind to really write a good workable chart. You would not write for a high school band the same thing that you would write for a professional band. And I recognize that a lot of the college bands right now are playing professional charts. So ask yourself, who am I writing for? Make some determinations based on that, because that's going to play into your intonation, it's going to play into your available dynamics, and quite frankly, the facility of the players. Also ask yourself, is this for recording or is this for live? And the reason being, there are things that you can do in a recording studio, there are things that you can write and record that will sound great on a recording that will not work live. They just don't work live. And the best example I can give you is the flute. Flutes, middle C, a lot of times that's the bottom note. It's a C flute. And they can play down here. They can play down there. They can play very, very well down there. And it's very soft. It's so soft, in fact, that one guy told me if there's even another instrument in the room, they won't be heard. So I don't take them much below third space C. I may go down to a B flat or an A, but mostly third space C. Now that's in a live situation. In a recording situation, you can write them down to that low C, and it'll sound great. It's a beautiful sound. And yes, I do recognize that there are performances where every instrument has a mic on him, and there's a guy at a mixing booth feverishly keeping everything in balance and bringing everybody out the way they need to. That is the best situation. I've always found that it's better to hope for the best and write for the worst. So, is it live or is it a recording? What are my best registers? Where am I going to get the best dynamics, the best intonation? So let's go from there into the transpositions of the instruments. The trombone section is easy. It doesn't transpose. The pitch that you write is the pitch that you will hear. trumpets and flugelhorn, they are written one full step above the pitch that you want to hear. One whole step. Remember, I said it's good to know your intervals. Now we're getting into one of the reasons why. So if you want middle C on trumpet, you write D. If you want E, you write F sharp. It's a full step. By the way, soprano sax and clarinet use the same transposition. Now let's get into the saxes, because they are a little more problematic. They are all written in treble clef, and so adjustments have to be made. Alto is written a major sixth above the pitch that you want to hear. Again, middle C. If you want that sound, you write A. If you want E flat, if you want E flat, you write C. A major sixth above the pitch that you want to hear. Tenor saxophone is written a ninth above the pitch you want to hear. So again, let's go back to middle C. If you want to hear this pitch, you write this D above third space C. That's a ninth. Or an octave and a whole step, if you want to think of it that way. If you want to hear D, you write E. A ninth. And by the way, bass clarinet uses that same transposition. Now let's look at the baritone, because the baritone, as I say, is a little more problematic. I think of it as a bass clef instrument, but it's written in treble clef. So if you want this lowest note, that low E flat, you have to write middle C, because the transposition is an octave and a major sixth. An octave and a major sixth. It is written a major sixth and an octave above the pitch that you want to hear. If you want to hear this low G, you write E above middle C. So you're getting a bass clef note, but you're writing in treble clef to get it. So those are the transpositions for the saxophones. As you use other instruments, there are other transpositions for them as well. And again, a good orchestration book can really help with these things where you have more intuitive questions about transpositions and ranges and what have you. And they can give you good examples from orchestral scores, or like the books that I mentioned yesterday, especially inside the score. That can give you some really good ideas as to how things sound in what register they're written in. My suggestion to you right now, as we close out this particular section, is get your headphones, find a good recording of Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Rob McConnell, Jerry Mulligan, especially the concert jazz band, but also some of his smaller groups too. But the concert jazz band, listen to it. Listen to them very closely. Maybe sit next to your keyboard so that you can figure out what register the horns are playing in. The trumpets are playing where, the saxes are playing where, the trombones. And I would really suggest Jerry Mulligan, the concert jazz band recordings, because he was not writing for recording, he was writing for live. He was not thinking about it being recorded. He was thinking about the way it sounded live. So get your headphones, and listen to these things and make some determinations of your own as to what registers you like. See you again.